Good evening, dandies. Welcome to Undetermined, the podcast.
So here we go.
Here we go. Right. That doesn't have to be our starting point. We can
It is now.
spot.
Yeah,
It is now.
Hi, Jason. By the way, I'm Matt. I haven't actually talked to you yet.
Well, hey, Matt.
We've been talking like friends.
Yeah. Fast friends, old friends.
Fast friends, old friends.
It's been so long, man. How you doing?
I know. It's been way too long.
Seems like a lifetime.
Yeah.
My entire life.
Yeah.
Entire life.
I've waited a lifetime for this conversation.
Just for this moment, this magic moment. But yeah, it's kind of funny. I hope she doesn't mind me talking about her out of school. But your wife, that's how I met you online anyway.
Yeah.
Went to school with her. Yeah, I went to elementary school with her and
Back in Morrison.
high school back in Morrison, Illinois. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. And, I was just checking out her. We follow each other on social media for years. Just checking out something she posted of yours. And I was like, oh, her husband's in a band. Oh, I bet it's a good band. And it was a good band. So, yeah, that's pretty interesting. But you guys wound up in Munich.
Yeah, we've been in Munich for I think it's been about almost 5 years now. I've kind of lost track of time, especially the past year. But yeah, we've been over here since 2000, like just before Trump got elected was when we moved. So yeah, it was pretty dope.
Coincidence?
We somehow were able to live abroad his entire awful presidency. So that was pretty great.
Wow.
Yeah. Did you see people's attitude towards Americans deteriorate over that time?
Most of the folks over here, at least in my circles, are pretty understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And they know, I got a lot of questions of are you all right? What's going on back there?
Yeah, that's a common question from our international friends.
That's a running theme.
Yeah, it was a joke. I mean, and the job I was working at the time, every month we all the Americans that worked at this company would get together for lunch. It was a relatively big company at the time, and we had our American lunch date scheduled for the day after the election, assuming it would have gone a different way.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone showed up. I didn't show up. I'm I don't want to talk about
Oh my God.
this. So,
Oh, shit. Yeah.
but we Kelly and I, we woke up early that on election day just to have a celebratory, I think we even made a pre-work cocktail.
Right.
Just before I went to celebrate. But then I was like, oh, this is going to be a different kind of day, I think.
Right.
I'm still going to need the drink. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong.
I just made it a double instead, I think.
Right. That must be a wild perception of everything that's going on being gone that entire time.
Yeah.
A lot of people wished they were. I mean,
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, as soon as everything, election-wise, at least when that went down,
yeah.
I got a lot of, slightly sarcastic, but I think also serious messages like, hey, do y'all have
Place I can crash.
Can I sleep on your couch for the next 4 years?
Right.
Yeah.
It's been wild watching it from afar, but also being heavily as involved as we can be from where we are. We did I think maybe just one or two protest marches around here, especially the one right after the election. We did the Women's March here in Munich.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy being that far away from home, but still feeling so connected and also partially responsible for the chaos that's going over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And terrified.
It's an experience I never thought I would have to go through.
Well, I think a lot of us didn't think that, and I'm still not convinced it's all 100% legit that that's actually how people voted.
Right.
Or that there wasn't some foul play. But I, unlike some people, am willing to live with that.
Right. You're not going to take your ball and go home.
Right, and I'm not going to storm a Capitol.
Right.
Right.
That's probably a better analogy than yeah, that was bananas to watch. I mean, that's
Yeah. But anyway, so you were
so you got a cat, huh?
Yeah. Oh, your cat. Now, did you grow up in Chicago or around Chicago? Is that where you're from?
I was born in Texas, so most of my extended families down there in West Texas.
What part?
Abilene, Texas.
Okay, my wife's from Lubbock.
Oh, right on. Yeah, I got some think I got some family that still lives in Lubbock, actually.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think they are too. But, yeah, Abilene's like two hours west of Dallas. Basically, just straight west through a bunch of nothing till you hit more nothing, and that's Abilene. Don't tell them that though.
No, I get it. Been down that road.
Yeah, but yeah, we've been in, or I've been in Chicago since I was I think I was in like second or third grade when I moved there with my family. Of course, I wasn't by myself.
Right.
I just rode a train. It's going to be a long podcast. No, yeah, I was there for basically, like all through elementary school, middle school, high school, basically up until moving, out way east here to Germany.
Yeah.
I was in Chicago, or, growing up, I was in the suburbs of Chicago. So Geneva, it's a small town west of Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Chicago proper for about 10 years, I think. And then bopped over here.
Huh.
Just casually decided, I'm going to go to Germany.
Just scooch over to Germany. Well, it's funny. Yeah, like the whole Germany thing was, of course, never planned. If it was going to be planned, I would have learned the language before, well before coming over here.
Oh, yeah.
But my old band, I used to be in a band based out of Chicago that we did 2 tours in Europe in like 2012 or 13, and then 14, I think. We did 2 separate like month-long tours, and most of the dates were in Germany, some UK and then Austria and some other surrounding countries, but primarily in Germany, and just kind of fell in love with a lot of the people here and, the country in general. It's been great. So then I was working for a company based in Munich, but my office was in Chicago. Long story short, they offered me a position living half the year here in Munich and half the year in Chicago. So I did that one turnaround. So basically 1 year of that. And then as soon as I landed back in Chicago, we got a call saying like, hey, we want you over here full time. So we decided, why not? Still young enough. So by that point, that band was dead. So it wasn't, that wasn't a factor, but it was kind of a nice way to have a cross ocean move just kind of like falling in your lap. Of course, there's plenty of risk with that, but it was also like, well, why not? We didn't have to pay for relocation or anything crazy like that. So it was.
I'm sure it's really cheap living there too.
Munich is, it's funny. Like compared to Chicago, it's kind of similar actually, but Munich is I think it's the most expensive city to live in Germany. I think like cost of living wise is super expensive. Coming from Chicago, it wasn't quite as big of a shock, but it is funny, like back when bars were a thing, going to a bar here and hearing people like gasp at a price of $4 for a beer. Mm-hmm. When in Chicago, it's like, oh, this PBR was $9 and it's like
right.
12-ounce can. So I think I'm fine.
Yeah. You ever been to a Cubs game? Jesus.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So how did Corey wind up over there as well? Your singer.
Yeah, that was like completely random, and it was just total like random blessing.
Yeah.
There was this election and he asked, do you have a couch?
Yeah, he was one of the ones. He's been living with me. So we met on tour. His old band and my old band toured a little bit in the States, probably about 6 years ago.
Huh?
And we kept in touch and we've been good friends ever since then. He was on tour, doing a solo tour with some good friends of ours called Make War. They're from Brooklyn, New York. But Corey was out just on his own doing like solo sets, opening up for them. And he met a lovely lady here named Kirsty, and they fell in love, and kind of the rest is history. So they were doing the cross-ocean long distance romance for a while. And then I think they were basically like, enough is enough. One of us is going to move to the other place. So Corey popped over here, and he's been here for, I think, like 3 years, maybe 3.5. I don't even know. We've, again, lost track of time. But so he moved for love. I moved for business, which is a lot less romantic.
That's so wild, though, being in bands together and then winding up in the same city all the way across the ocean. And
yeah, I mean, countries aside, like the exact same city as me has been like, all right. So he landed here before he even like officially moved here. So he moved here kind of temporarily, but he knew he was going to stay. I think he just didn't tell his folks, but he knew it was permanent. Mm-hmm. And Kirsty did too. As soon as he landed here, we're like, all right, well, I guess we're starting a band together.
Right.
And that was basically how it started, is we're like, okay, well, we have to do this. So it kind of started out of just us not having another kind of outlet to be discussing with a friend about being expats in a new land. And so we would kind of get together and drink some beers and fuck around with guitars, and then just blossom into a lovely little band together.
Yes. Yeah, man, I've really been digging your shit.
Thank you.
Listening to Redefining Home a lot.
Thanks.
Yeah. Are you having to ship out all those records from Germany? And how's that going?
Yeah.
It's not been great. It's not been great. So we do have a label, our buddy's label from Richmond, Virginia, called Say 10 Records.
Mm-hmm.
So they have like a small batch of records left. I think they just did like 100 on vinyl.
Okay.
And they have like just, I think maybe a dozen or so left. So for LPs, it's been a lot easier just to be like, okay, well, no one's going to want to spend $40 just for shipping on top of a 15.
Yeah, I saw that and I was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But some people have, and it's been wild. Like we've had some people buy shirts and hoodies and shit, which is cool. It's just it's a pain. It's not a pain to ship because, we communicate everything up front. Like it's going to take a while. I just feel bad because especially dealing with during COVID, like DHL, which is the main, this is probably great radio, DHL, which is the great, like the main shipping service here, they upped their prices because of the USPS nonsense with everything kind of going to shit there.
Yeah.
So tracking wasn't an option. So people would be spending like $50 to order an LP, and I couldn't give them a tracking number and just be like, I really hope in 3 months it'll get there.
Wow.
So far, everything's shown up. But it's been a pain for sure.
Oh yeah, well, that big of an investment, and you can't prove that it's on its way.
Right.
That's ripe for ripping people off too.
Yeah, thankfully, no one's to this point has done anything shitty. But I mean, we're such a DIY band. Like the majority of our merch is printed in my living room. We have some of our shirts that were printed by a local shop here, but like, we're really DIY, so we want to make sure that we keep it as realistic for people to get whatever they want. Mm-hmm. So it's just a pain to be like, hey, you can have this shirt for basically cost for us, but you got to pay like $60 to get it to you, which is like, just print your own. So actually one dude, I think in, I can't remember where he's from, maybe Oklahoma, was like, hey, if I send you like some cash, can you just send me the art file and I'll print it myself for sure? I'm like, yeah, that's fine, dude. Just don't bootleg stuff, please. Or do, I don't really care. I'll never know. But, so that was kind of cool.
He's got a thriving business today.
Like, if you're going to bootleg a band, I would not recommend bootlegging Little Teeth. That's my professional advice.
A lot of cool merch, though. Cool merch ideas, too. I love those little accessories and stuff. Bands put out more than just T-shirts.
Yeah.
Did you meet Kelly in Chicago then?
Yeah, we actually met. She was in the Windy City Rollers, the roller derby league there.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
She was, yeah.
I was just like kind of like a super fan at first. And then I ended up doing like track setup, and I was a referee for a few years. So we met through roller derby actually. And we had a lot of good friends that connected us and made us hang out, and we started dating that way, which is pretty wild. You don't often hear roller derbies the way that you ran in your life. I'll take it.
We've yet to get any roller derby stories on here, and now it just makes sense that we should.
Yeah.
You got any good ones? Apart from, you met your wife. I mean, yeah, whatever.
That's a pretty good one, though. I mean, the sad thing about my stories is a lot of them are referee based, so they're not like, they're more focused on the rules, which is really boring for most people.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, there's always like some great after parties and a lot of stories after that I can't really recall. But
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just a genuine, like, great group of people and very supportive group of women, and just a lot of love in that world, which I think is great. The cool thing is, so Kelly and I met through roller derby, and even after she retired, and like right as she was retiring is when I really kind of started going hard into refereeing, which she was like, great, now that I'm out of it, you're getting more into it. Right. But since then, I've since retired, of course. I even before we moved from Chicago, but we met some friends here, and there's a roller derby league here in Munich. So we got to see a derby bout here, which was pretty wild to see it on another continent.
Yeah, Kelly's welcome to come on too sometime. So.
Yeah,
she's in the other room, I think. So I'll holler at her for the next podcast.
Yeah, all right. Haven't heard her voice in many years,
many moons,
many years. She's still painting.
Yeah, she's still painting. So she had her own business for I want to say like 17 or 20 years in Chicago doing interior design and painting and faux finishes and murals and stuff like that, while also doing some fine art. And then, so like with this move to Munich, that was part of the deal, was like, well, let's do it so you can do painting, fine art full time. So so we have a little shared studio space. So I have my music stuff in here and my COVID desk, and most of it is her painting gear, which is pretty rad. So every day I get to look at some pretty paintings that change every day.
Nice.
Yeah, she's a great artist. Her stuff. So you meet up with the other guys in the band, Max, Bastian, these two cats. So they are Munich locals then? Were they expats?
Actually, now it's just me, Corey, and Bastian. But yeah, okay. Max was in the band during the recording of the album and the release, of course, up until I think it was about just over a year ago. It was December, January of last year that we parted ways with him. But yeah, those guys are both Munich / Schweinfurt, so like a little bit north of Munich, locals. So it's cool. It was cool to be like have like a truly international band. So when we're here, we can say we're an American band, but when we're there in the States, we can be like, yeah, we're a German band. Right. Maybe affect our guarantees a little bit. But yeah, Bastian is like probably the sweetest person on the face of the earth. And he's just a killer drummer on top of that. But he's like genuinely one of the nicest people on the planet. And it's been killing me not to be able to see either of those guys for forever. I mean,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure every guest has been talking about that, but it's it's bananas.
It's a really common tale.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I mean, what else are you going to talk about?
Right.
Got to have something happen to you.
Well, he just had a baby, so that's pretty cool. Well, he and his wife did. He didn't do it all himself.
Wow. They do it different in Germany.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never done it. I don't even know. Can you explain to me how that works?
Only in German.
Yes.
No.
When a man and woman love each other very much. So yeah, you've been locked out of the States too then as a result of this. And
yeah.
How often did you get back before?
You know, for my old job, I used to get back at least 2 times a year. Kelly would get back probably like more like 4 or 5. And then my most recent job before I just switched 6 months ago, I would travel a lot for work. So we had an office in Philly, and then I would mainly go to like Brazil and Philly, and then we had an office in Singapore. So I would do a lot of traveling, but going back home, it would probably be like three times a year maybe. And yeah, all of our trips, of course, just like the rest of the world, have been canceled, all of our tours and all of our personal stuff, which is a drag. But yeah, I mean, more than that, over here, like it's been wild to see in the States, folks getting vaccines. Like, John, I know, was it today?
Yeah,
it's today. It's later this afternoon. I get my second shot. Yeah,
so amazing. So I'm always so stoked to see that, because here it's like as progressive as a healthcare system as we have here. Like, I don't know anyone that's not a doctor that has a vaccine at all.
Yeah, weird. Yeah,
and part of that is because with the EU, you know, they're being so democratic about vaccines and not administering them until basically everyone in the EU can have them, is my understanding. So I think if Germany was on their own, it would have been a lot different. But yeah, like we just went into another hard lockdown here. So we've basically been in a legit lockdown since November.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like the idea of going back like to visit Chicago or just like friends and family in general is like, feels like a dream.
Yeah.
But like, because it's been, you know, I was in the States in January or February just to see my folks for a couple days. But since then, I haven't set foot in the States or seen any friends or family in person. So it's been, you know, going on, I think 14 months now.
Wow.
So when I see people in my extended social network complaining about not being able to go to Applebee's, I'm just like, you know, a little perspective goes a long way.
Yeah, right.
You're going to get your top shelf marg, don't worry. But
right. Yeah. Well, in some ways too, it's just really rough. It's even rough for people, I think, who live in the same town or just a town over from people that they can't see.
Yeah.
You know, because they can't go into their home or, you know, haven't been in contact with them since this whole thing started. And
yeah.
You know, that can be rough too, you know, so close yet so far.
Yeah.
I mean, like talking about like Corey, like he's, you know, by and far like my best friend here. And also I would say in the world. Mm-hmm. And we as a band haven't been in the same room since October. And when we were doing that, we would all be wearing at least one mask each and have distance and air the room out after about 5 or 10 minutes. And when Corey would sing, we actually set up like a clear shower curtain in a separate part of the room by the door. So like we could air it out and not being able to even see those guys on like a friendship level, which is more of, probably a more important part for us in general, has been a total drag. I'm like a couple weeks ago, I was able to see Corey out in a park, and we just had a couple beers. Like I brought out some of my camping chairs, so we were able to sit in this park in front of my apartment and just hang out for like maybe an hour or two, which was great. But yeah, like you said, Matt, like to be, or actually John, both of you guys said this, like to be so close but not be able to do anything, or just to like. I haven't had a hug in a long time. Right. Outside of Kelly, of course, she, but like a friend hug, and I'm jonesing for those hugs, man.
Yeah,
I'd probably cry.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's gonna be weird, and like just seeing like some of the festivals, like we're scheduled to play at the Fest in Gainesville in October of this year, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to see all of, like, even if we're all like 100% vaccinated, it's going to be such a weird feeling to be like, can I hug you? And like,
shake your hand, anything.
Yeah. Like, the whole level, I think of like just consent in terms of hugging will be a huge factor, which I think is good for sure. It's just going to be wild to be like, hey, are you comfortable with me hugging you? Because I really want to.
Right. Is there like a percentage of the population there that is like here that just does not take it seriously, thinks it's all bullshit?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I see them less here than in the States, but that would be, I would say, due to my social media circle. So I see more people that I went to high school with that are just total dumb dicks. Rather than here, like I see, like, there have been some protests that, of course, we were nowhere near them, but there are some like anti-maskers or a different group that is like, I would say probably like the German equivalent of QAnon. There's one of those over here. And I've seen some random like stickers about like just like anti-vaccine stuff. And it's disheartening to see. It's disheartening, but also like, I guess, encouraging probably to everyone in the States to know that there are idiots everywhere.
Yeah. There's a part of me that's like, it's not just us.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, like I will say I definitely see more in the States, but Munich is, even though it is compared to Berlin, for example, it's a pretty really conservative city, I would say, even politically, but it's more, I would say, more liberal than if you go out in the cut of, somewhere in the middle of Bavaria,
right,
in a small town. People are going to be like probably a little more understanding of Trump's policies than others, I think.
I think it's kind of a universal thing. The more urban, the more liberal it tends to be, and the more rural, the more conservative it tends to be.
Mm-hmm. And it was funny, like when we moved here, a lot of our friends, I have friends in Munich, Berlin, Hamburg, like mainly the main hubs, and everyone, especially my friends in Hamburg, were like, Munich, in terms of like the larger cities, is the worst to go to. I'm like, yeah, but like that's where my job is. I can't, and they're like, yeah, but, and I heard this a lot over and over before we moved here. Like, okay, Munich is the Texas of Germany. And I really didn't believe it until we got here, and I was like, oh shit, they're right.
That's so weird how that is, especially just with different political philosophies. And so is like, do they still, like, who's there? Who's the German QAnon's chosen one then? In that regard, is it still Trump? I couldn't tell you. I know there are plenty of like leaders of, for lack of a better term, well, I'll call them shitbag parties, but like, because it's not a 2-party system here. There's a lot of different political parties, and one of them, the AfD, which is Alternative for Deutschland, they're essentially like a rebranded Nazi party, is my perception. And there's even, I think, some that are further right leaning than those.
So I know for sure, like, they have their own party leaders. I don't think, again, this is me not really being in those circles. I don't think that they're quite as like in love with Trump as like Bolsonaro is in Brazil. Like, he's just, he totally has a tent in the shorts for Trump. And I don't get that, but over here, there's plenty of trash bags to
right
that are looked up to for God only knows why.
I was just reading Mike Dillon. He's a former guest of ours, just amazing percussionist. But he's in Texas right now, and he was writing about stopping at like a taco joint, and it was like small town Texas.
Mm-hmm.
He went in wearing a mask, and just like everything stops and everyone's staring at him.
It was like all the music stops in the saloon kind of thing.
Right. And it's not like friendly stares or like, who are you, stranger? It's more like,
we don't like your kind around here kind of thing.
What the fuck are you doing, fucking liberal mask wearer asshole?
Yeah. You're like, I'm wearing this to protect you. Like, I don't, and me. Like, why is this a problem? Like,
and he tried to say hi to everyone, and nobody said hi back.
Weird.
That is bananas. I hate that. Yeah. I mean, the good thing, I would say, like, one good thing about over here, regardless of your affiliation to, political followings or whatever, is that there is a hardcore mask mandate here for everybody. So in any shop, you have to wear not just a mask, but you have to wear an FFP2 mask, which is, it's not quite like an N95, but it is like I think it's a 4-ply, it's filtered, so it would protect you as well as those around you. And that's countrywide. I mean, I don't know. I would imagine it's being followed everywhere, because one thing I learned is Germans do love their rules. So I imagine that you're not going to get so many crazy looks, but I've only seen like 2 times when we were in the grocery store, like somebody not wearing their mask and they got yelled at or thrown out right away, basically. So,
Wow. Yeah. Is the government supplying those if they're requiring everybody to wear them?
They're not. I mean, they might be in some instances, but like they're relatively cheap. But yeah, the thing with the FFP2 masks is they're technically supposed to be single use only. So, there's the whole waste level of that going along with it. But yeah, the cost of them could be, $1 or $2 per mask. So that's a drag. And especially like for a while, it was just like whatever mask you have is great. And then I think it was, I don't even know when, sometime in the fall, they changed the FFP2 mask regulation, and we basically had like a week, maybe a week and a half to get those. And it was like mandated. I think they had some grace period in there, but like going on Amazon is, as much as it's best to avoid using Amazon, that's something that we, especially over here, have sadly had to rely on for a lot of things. The prices on Amazon for those things was just ridiculous, like just total price gouging. And
sure.
So yeah, to your point, like, it's like crazy to be like, yeah, you have to wear this. You're required to wear this special mask, but you're kind of on your own to get one. I mean, giving a grace period did help. And I didn't see anyone that had any problems with getting a mask in time. But yeah, I mean, I think everything else healthcare wise is covered. So yeah, it's like, you can buy a mask kind of thing.
Yeah, you got that. Well, you've had a lot better social programs over there too, just for like financial relief and stuff too. I mean, or how's that been working out?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, I think a lot of venues, and if you're like, if a musician, if your job is musician, I think there's probably some programs to help you out. But like, yeah, in general, I think there's a lot more support for small businesses here. And in general, yeah, there's a lot of like other financial programs to help out during situations like this that are kind of unexpected beyond, your typical unemployment, which, side note, I had to dip into earlier this year, or actually late last year. I lost my job because there's this company I used to work for called Wirecard, and it's not a name anyone would know in public, but it's one of the biggest, or was one of the biggest companies in Germany, one of the biggest 30, and it was a financial technology company. So I was the lead creative director for them for a couple of years, and they basically had like the biggest financial scandal since World War II happened.
Oh, nice.
So like 1.9 billion euros, which is about like 2.3 billion US dollars, was just missing in different accounts. And it was pretty wild because, yeah, like basically 6,000 people globally either lost their job or had to go on like unemployment or get shuffled into a new position. And I was one of the lucky people in marketing, which you don't really need marketing if your company's dying. So yeah, I had unemployment for a little bit. And then since the company filed for insolvency, there was another protection for companies that basically go bankrupt for those employees. So I had my salary was covered for a couple months by that social program, which was great. And then a couple months of unemployment until I found this other new awesome job that I have. So
you got away with $1 billion.
Yeah. I got a new job after I got 1.9 billion. No, but it's wild. Like the dude that is basically, there's two people that are being held responsible for them, the CEO and the COO. The CEO is in prison. It has been for almost a year. Oh, I guess in June or July, it'll be a year. He claims that he had no idea of any of this, but he's the CEO. So that sucks to be him.
Right.
The other dude, this guy fled the country before any charges were actually like made against him.
He saw it coming and did.
Yeah, he's like nowhere to be found. He's on Interpol's like one of their top wanted lists, and like,
oh wow,
there's like forged travel documents to Singapore and then to Russia, and like there's like all this crazy stuff coming out. So there's going to be a documentary about it too, and all this stuff. It'll probably be on Netflix eventually, but it was like the biggest financial scandal in like 50 years or more.
Okay, is this? I was thinking there was like a big Russia financial scandal with something recently. Was this it? Or I mean,
so this dude that fled, his name's Jan Marsalek. He's from Austria, but he's believed to be either in Ukraine. I think it's just Russia somewhere. I don't think it's. But he has like ties to like Secret Service apparently all over the place, and it's like they're either never going to find him or they're going to find him dead. Like this guy is like the stock market basically crashed over here because of this jackhole.
Just left you as fodder.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sucks when you're just trying to hold down an honest job and.
Yeah. But I got a better job now, so it's all good.
Excellent.
Screw that guy. I'm going to go on record. He's a bad man. You heard it here first. Breaking news. That guy sucks.
Yeah. We could have you doing the weep away cuts for the documentary. We'll have to get a hold of Netflix.
Yeah, why not?
You know, a guy directly affected.
My life.
So have you guys been working on any recording or anything with remotely or anything trying to do that?
Yeah, like we're trying to keep busy. So I'll say it's been easier for me than it has the other guys, just because I do a lot of recording at home anyway. So Bastian, he has like an electric drum kit at home now. So he's been able to we've been able to write basically, which has been great. And then I have 2 Kemper amps, which are like digital profiling amps. So I have one and Corey has my other one. So we're able to do some recording remotely as much as we can, but it's been challenging, I'd say mostly because there's a chemistry when you're in a room with, your bandmates.
Yeah.
And like I do a ton of writing at home or have, in the past year, basically just when I'm bored, I can't sit still is my problem. So like I did a bunch of different, like just ridiculous projects on my own to just fill the time. So one of them was like a metal project because I was like, I'm just going to play a bunch of metal riffs. And I wrote like 8 metal songs.
Right on.
So those are just sitting here without vocals. And then I wrote a bunch of stuff for Little Teeth, and Corey has 2 and Bastian's written some drum beats to start that up. But yeah, like the past few months, Bastian, like I said, he and his wife had a beautiful new baby in, I think it was January, like the first or second week of January. So of course he's been really busy with the baby, and Corey is an amazing songwriter. He's just really trying to figure out the technology side of it. And he's getting good at it. It's just like a learning curve of doing that.
Sure.
But he's done a great job with everything so far. Like he helped record his other band completely from scratch, which is cool. So like the great thing is like, it's been a challenge for all of us, but we're learning collectively some new skills and learning how to do this more remotely because like I said, we don't know when we'll be vaccinated or when we can be in a room together.
Sure.
long answer to the question. Like, here's the short answer. Yeah, we've been writing. So
Right.
Got it. Yeah.
we have some, I think we have like 5 or 6 songs that are essentially done outside of probably lyrics. And Corey, of course, should and does spend as much time as he needs to on lyrics and making sure they're crafted very well. For me, like, I have some leftover songs that I've just kind of farted around with, just again because I can't sit still. So like one of the songs I released recently under a different name called Model Homes, which is like my solo project, just full band. That was going to be a Little Teeth song, but I just got bored and just recorded it all myself.
Mm-hmm.
But that one, it was funny. So like I had this really stupid idea a long time ago to have a dog barking on one of my songs,
Mm-hmm.
and to credit it, to say like it's the song title featuring Pitbull, like to have an actual dog.
I heard about this. Yeah.
So yeah, I did this. So my friend Sarah from Columbus, Ohio, she's had a bunch of dogs over the years, and one of her dogs, Bronson, is a Pitbull. I was like, hey, can you send me some sounds of Bronson barking? So she did, and I had my friend that mixed and mastered it put it together. So just as a joke, I was like, oh, it'd be funny if I get some algorithmic, nonsense, get a few extra listeners. So I released this song, and it's called Margarita Pool featuring Pitbull. Because I was like, legally, there's a Pitbull.
Right.
So I submitted it, and TuneCore, the company that I use to submit all my distribution and stuff, they got back to me like right away, and they're like, no, like you can't. And I was like, well, no, like it's supposed to be.
It is a Pitbull.
Right.
Yeah, they asked for like legal, like we need to see contractual stuff between you and Pitbull's management, and then we need to verify that. And I was like, whoa. I'm an idiot. No, I'm just dumb. I'm a dumb. So this is supposed to be funny. I'm sorry if your legal team doesn't have a sense of humor, but so I had to put in an email. I was like, all right, so I'm clearly stating in bold, I have no affiliation with the artist Pitbull. I have no contract, like there's no partnership. It's just me being an idiot. There's a dog. So they're like, okay, well, you need to change it to a Pitbull. And if you want it in the title, you have to have it as, you have to submit a Pitbull as a contributing musician. So I had to go through the system and put a Pitbull.
Wow.
So that was kind of the end of the joke. And then I woke up the morning it was released to like an insane amount of streams. So like normally, this is just like a joke project of mine, basically. It's just me fucking around. So like my other song I have up has like maybe 500 streams, which is great for, people that, I don't know I don't know 500 people that would listen to it, but as of now, I'm over 400,000 streams.
Holy cow.
Because Spotify accidentally tagged the real Pitbull.
Oh, nice.
So I showed up in all these Release Radar playlists for Pitbull fans, and Pitbull has like 7 million followers. So like theoretically could have been that many, but like
nice.
It was just the people that listened to Release Radar. So they caught it after like maybe 6 hours or so. I don't know how long. They caught it like midday of the day it was released. But I stayed on, because of the algorithms, I stayed on Pitbull's like Release Radar for a full week. So like I got like over 400,000 streams when my other song has like just over 400.
Nice.
So it was I can't stop laughing still about it, because it's the stupidest fucking thing I've done in a long time, and it paid off.
Awesome, but it paid off. That's awesome. We're gonna have to do that. Next undetermined special guest, a Pitbull.
A Pitbull, right. Yeah. So then now a Pitbull has like its own artist page, just a Pitbull. But also like for someone like me, like I honestly rarely see much revenue from Spotify. Like no artist does, unless you get a lot of streams.
Right.
So this, I haven't gotten paid out yet, so I don't know exactly how much, but theoretically it should be like over $1,000 in just Spotify streams, thanks to this dumb algorithmic error. So I decided, like, I bought myself a nice reverb pedal for myself, but I'm also going to donate a bunch of this money to some Pitbull rescues, like the one where my friend's dog came from, and some stuff like that. So
nice.
It is selfish, and it's really funny to me, but at least it's going somewhere rather than just me being like, thanks for the mistake. freaking dorks.
Which you could have easily done.
Oh yeah, I mean, I still can. I can just tell people. I'm like, oh no, I'm going to donate it, and then just like, is that a new hat?
Yeah.
Did you get a new hat?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
New to me.
Yeah. Got it at Goodwill.
Yeah. I was just thinking by that legal rationale, we could cut a record and just say, find somebody with the last name Levine.
Yeah.
And just be like featuring a Levine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny. So when all this stuff happened, Corey was like, oh my God, this is so funny. He's like, we need to, for the next single we have to do, I don't know if we're actually going to do it, but he was like, in Germany, there's 50 cent coins. He's like, we need to drop a 50-cent coin and say it's featuring 50 Cent. And I'm like,
featuring a 50 cent.
That is smart. So
featuring a 50-cent drop.
Nice.
So
Awesome.
I don't know if we're going to try to get, I think like Spotify will probably flag my account.
Yeah.
All right. Anything you do, we're going to make sure, but it's not hurting anybody.
Right.
It's just
No, man.
other than confusing a bunch of Pitbull fans, which is honestly the funniest part, that 400,000 Pitbull fans were like, what?
Yeah.
Like, huh? This isn't a dance song.
I don't know. I'm thinking you should run with it. Set a legal precedent, man.
Yeah.
I should.
That
Why
could
not?
be the trial of the century, entertainment
Right.
trial.
Versus, Jason Thompson versus a Pitbull. I'll take it.
There you go.
We had on the podcast, I had a dog that she passed about a year or so ago. A little bit more, but she had a howling issue, and she would randomly, we lived close to a hospital, so anytime like an ambulance went by, so it got to be like this running joke on the podcast, like, when is Ginger gonna howl in the middle of the podcast? 'Cause there was no covering it.
Nope.
Yeah, there's no filter to pull that one out.
No, I was in the basement, she was upstairs, and still
Come on, Ginger. Knock it off.
She was a good girl.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry to hear about that. That's
She was also an old girl.
Yeah. Not seeing each other in a while.
I know.
Yeah, Matt's bought a new house, everything. I haven't seen it yet at all.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've got a new house. I got a new dog. I don't think you've met Nugget yet either.
No.
Nugget's a great name, too.
He's a corgi.
Oh, nice.
Yep, it's been too long.
Way too long. Well, get that second shot today, man. Was it 21 days?
That's so great.
Something like
After that? Something like that?
We'll figure something out.
Yeah, this summer.
Something.
Gonna have to.
Yep. Have you checked out Jack Trip? Are you familiar with that?
Jack Trip.
Mm-hmm.
No. What is that?
It's like open source software that lets you play together basically online without the lag.
I think now that you're saying that, so like an engineer that we work with here, I don't know if maybe it was something else, but he was telling me about that, and I would love to try that out because it's kind of like, it's better than being totally remote, but not quite as good as being in the room. But I mean, like, especially with the Kempers and the E-drums and stuff, like that'd be amazing.
Yeah, the latency on it's really super low, and it's free.
It's free? Wow.
Yeah, the software is free, but don't you have to have like a little Raspberry or something?
Well, you can use Raspberries. I read farther after that last discussion, and it works on other platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Because this other one was not free at all. It was like you can buy a license, and then you have to buy like, I don't know if it's like add-on licenses for all the users, but
I don't know. It's free.
That's great.
Yeah, free open source. Yeah, I'll send you a link on it. Yeah.
That'd be amazing. Yeah.
They should give us some money as much as we plug that thing.
I know.
Yeah. They're like, our service is free. We want a percentage of all of your free downloads.
Right.
Jack Trip featuring a pit bull.
Featuring a pit bull.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to go gangbuster.
Actually, today or yesterday, I guess today and yesterday, we were recording a cover song remotely. So today, actually right now, I think Corey's recording vocals for our friend's band Kalimasi. They're from Chicago. They're one of the best bands probably in the world. Certainly my favorite band from Chicago right now. Their new album comes out tomorrow, and we were asked to do a cover version of one of their songs.
Oh, cool.
So that's like close to being done. So I think that'll probably be out next week if Corey finishes.
Cool.
So if Corey, if you're listening to this, I'm putting pressure on you.
Get that done.
I believe in you. You can do it, bud.
Sadly, this is probably not going to go out until way after that deadline.
Well, how about this, Corey? If you still haven't done it, please
get on it, dude.
Yeah, that'll tell you something. That'll tell you something if this drops first.
Yeah.
So you got that coming out. As far, man, I was going to ask you. It just seems like everywhere else is loosening up. Like maybe you have any shows come up, like socially distanced things you're doing or anything like that, or just stuck still with the lack of vaccination?
No, I mean we were asked to do. Well, we did one show since the first lockdown in March. And it was an outdoor acoustic show. So it wasn't even really a full band. It was just me and Corey. So sadly, Bastian wasn't playing with us. Mm-hmm. And it was outdoors, distanced. And since then, we were slated to play up in Hamburg, like a one-off show at our favorite venue up there with our good friend, Austin Lucas. And we ended up having to cancel it because we didn't feel safe about it ourselves. Like the show was going to be totally safe, and it went off without a hitch, and everyone was safe. But we would have had to drive like 9 hours to get there or something, stopping at truck stops and all that. So we felt like it wasn't smart for us to do that. So that was our one shot to play full band. And then we've had a couple other offers that we turned down already because a lot of them were kind of like preemptive, like, hey, do you want to do this show? It's indoors, but we're going to air out the venue. And we're like, no, we're not comfortable with that. And this was before even a whiff of a vaccine was going to happen.
Right.
But we do have some stuff technically slated. Like, so we have a show confirmed but not announced in November. Well, actually, I can just, at this point, it'll be announced by the time this airs. So we're going to be playing with that band Kalamasi in November in Munich. And that's an indoor show, of course, pending the world not falling apart again.
Right.
And then we had a couple other offers for like some festivals or some outdoor stuff here that were tentatively being like, yeah, like we're open to the idea.
Right.
If we feel comfortable with it, if it's, if everyone's vaccinated, like there's a lot of ifs.
Right.
We're still scheduled to tour in the fall, which I do not believe is going to happen, but I'm really hoping in the US. So we had a week, 10-day tour, 14-day tour scheduled for last October from Chicago to the East Coast down to Gainesville, Florida, which is where like this festival called The Fest happens every year. And it's like kind of in terms of like our genre, it's kind of like the mecca for punk festivals.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we were slated for that, and then everything got canceled. So all those dates for now have been pushed exactly 1 year. So, and I know that's kind of the same for a lot of bands.
It is. Yeah.
A couple of the venues that we were confirmed at, I know at least one of them is no longer a venue because they had to close the doors because of COVID permanently. But we have some stuff, again, technically confirmed in Chicago, in Baltimore, and a couple other cities on the way down, and then the festival in Gainesville. So I'm cautiously optimistic about that. Like that kind of stuff is giving me some hope, but also, we want to be smart. We don't want to be the reason for anyone to get together prematurely or for anyone to feel unsafe. And that's more of it. Like, we don't want to be encouraging, even indirectly, people to be doing that. Yeah. I mean, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but it's kind of far away here, at least in Germany.
Right.
I mean, theoretically, things are supposed to start rolling out hard here in April in terms of vaccines. Mm-hmm. But, that's exactly 1 week away. So I'm really, staying optimistic, of course, but
right. Not holding your breath either.
Yeah. It's going to feel wild to be like, oh, so we have a show. We get to go play.
Right.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of like rehearsals that we have to do as a band before we can actually do any shows.
Sure.
Because we don't want to come out sounding like total dog shit. Like, oh, you haven't seen us in a year and a half or two.
We haven't seen each other either.
And they're like, we could have waited longer. You should have taken your time.
Yeah.
A lot of bands are just going to come out. They're just going to be so excited. It's going to be like having sex for the first time in years. And they're just going to.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks. Good night.
I swear we've never played that set that fast. This is the first that's ever happened
to me before.
So let's go back to like the four times,
Yeah.
before all this shit goes. What's the difference between playing like in the US and playing over there in Germany or Europe in general?
I will say touring over here is by and large so much better in terms of hospitality.
Mm-hmm.
Like touring in the States, I love it. But like you show up to, you'll drive from, for in my instance, Chicago to, let's say, like Indianapolis.
Mhm.
And, the locals that were on the show didn't show up, or they show up late and don't draw anyone there. And, as a band of our size, like we're not drawing huge in like B markets. So that's hard in terms of draw. But beyond that, in the hospitality side, you rarely have a gas guarantee or any kind of guarantee from a venue in the States at our level.
Right.
And then a place to stay is even more ridiculous. And then food will happen sometimes. Like sometimes you'll get fed on the road,
Mm-hmm.
but really like a place to stay, food and gas is something that's like over here is a given. Like you'll always have a comfortable spot for the most part. You'll always be covered in terms of gas money, and you'll always like the venue will take care of you. And that's been really great. And that's something that I think that in the future, like that's something I'd like to bring back to the States, like not as a promoter, but like as a friend of bands, to be like a lot more opening of my doors to traveling folks to know, like, because I've done it both ways. I've done it in the States, and it's been really hard sleeping either in a van or in like a Walmart parking lot where like my old band, The Sky Was Grape, we toured down south through Texas into Arizona or somewhere, New Mexico. And we stayed in a Walmart parking lot. And like, we found out like, I think it was like a week later that someone was murdered in that parking lot. Like
Nice.
just after for doing the same thing, they were just like sleeping and somebody just came up and murdered them.
Wow.
Jesus.
It's nuts. So I would say like, that's probably the biggest factor that's different at touring over here, playing shows. The other thing that's been bananas, like y'all are used to some long drives, I'm sure.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
John, you're from Morrison, so to get anywhere, it's going to be at least 2.5 hours. So like, except for Quad Cities, I'm sure.
Right.
But like here, like anything that's more than 2 hours, I feel like people that are from Germany typically are like, oh, we need to, like other bands that we know that are like, oh, that's a really long drive. That's over 2 hours. Like, are you going to
We need to charter a plane.
yeah. Or like, why would you drive all the way to, like we played all the way in Hamburg, which is like 8 or 9 hour drive.
Huh?
And we'll do like a show on the way or a show on the way back. So it's like 5 hours each way. And a lot of people are like, that is unreal that you would be willing to drive that many hours. And I'm like, no, dude, I drove home. Like I did a drive from Denver to Chicago in one day. And Corey's done that same drive too. He's from Colorado, but like we had a show in Denver, woke up in the morning early to play. We were supposed to play it in Iowa City at Gabe's Oasis. And we were driving hours and hours and hours and hours there. I called to check in on the venue and they're like, hey, no one promoted your show. And we'd never played in Iowa City. Like no one promoted your show. We don't have any locals. We don't like it. I will say I give them like mad props for being this forthcoming, because a lot of venues haven't done this, but they're like, you are welcome. We'll open our doors. You're welcome to play here. We're pretty confident you'll be playing to the bartenders and the door people. So like, if you want to come and play, you're confirmed. But if you want to cancel, like it's no harm. Like no one's going to be here. So we're like, all right, well, I guess I added another 5 hours to my drive. So that sucked.
Yeah.
So like, but like those kind of drives are just like, that's just part of touring
in America. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's been wild to be like, oh, we have a show tomorrow and it's only 2 hours away. That is amazing. Like a year and a half ago, I did a solo tour, just me, acoustic, and my buddy Jeff Berman, who plays under the name Divided Heaven. He's from California. Now he moved to Pennsylvania, but he came over here and we shared a car and just drove around Germany. Like, so we started in Hamburg, played throughout Germany, some Switzerland, Liechtenstein. I don't know if we made it to Austria, but we did like a week or two. And that was wild to be like with another American and like to have a show the next day and be like, oh yeah, our drive is 3 hours.
Yeah.
We can take our time. And like even the longer drives, it was like 5 and it was no problem.
Wow. Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah. I can remember telling people in Ireland that it was where I lived at the time, little town in the middle of nowhere in Missouri. It was like a 40-minute round trip to go get a gallon of milk.
Right.
Somewhere. And they were just like, looked at me like I was completely insane.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Get into West Texas. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing until you hit more nothing. Yeah. Yeah, they're just red dirt on red dirt, basically.
Of course, a lot of them are like, well, why don't you just get a cow if it's that far? It's like, well, that's a fair point.
I was going to say that, but I'm like, I'm not going to.
But I'm a lazy American, so, you know.
Feed it, and that's
Yep.
I'm going to spend the money on gasoline and have somebody else.
Put a hole in the ozone layer above your house.
Right. Yep. It's just easier. Yeah. Didn't understand that. Didn't understand a lot of fishing from the banks of lakes or rivers.
Mm-hmm.
Thought that was odd. I don't catch anything in their lakes over there, but these nasty little eels, I guess, apparently.
Never caught an eel.
No, never eaten one either.
No?
I've eaten eel a couple of times. Sushi.
I don't think I have.
Yeah, I've had like some unagi. I think it's or like some I don't know if that's salt or fresh, but couldn't tell you the flavor, but there's probably so much stuff on top of it that it's just like, oh, that just tastes like rice.
Yeah.
It's like wasabi and soy sauce. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, rubber and oil.
That's possible. I might have eaten it and not known.
I'd have.
Someone sneaking an eel in your sandwich when you're not looking.
God damn it.
Always happens. Again.
If I had $1 for every time someone snuck an eel on my sandwich.
Oh, I am hungry.
So what's the best place to find your stuff, man? As far as your music, merch, everything else like that. Is Bandcamp still the way to go?
Yeah, I would say Bandcamp is the best place for us, with the caveat of like shipping is bananas. But yeah, like music, we have stuff on all digital platforms that are out there, basically. Physical stuff, we have vinyl on Say-10 Records. I think maybe, or maybe there's, I don't know. If you look up the word Say and then the number 10 Records, you'll find the URL, or whoever's listening to this will.
Right.
And we have LPs there. It's a different color variant than you can get over here. But I'm hoping to get like some kind of US shop going, just because we have a lot of our, for lack of a better term, fan base is in the States, our listener base at least. So I'd like to make it a little bit more accessible, or even have some resources. I've been thinking about like the one dude that asked me for the design file for him to make his own shirt.
Right.
I'm totally down for people doing their own DIY stuff. Like that's, it's basically the equivalent of what I'm doing. It's just he's doing the work, not me. So,
just hire him as a merch guy. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because I did all the design work anyway. So it's like there's no cost out of my pocket. So it's all gravy.
There you go.
We could introduce you to some cool indie label people that might be able to help you out with some of that stuff too.
Yeah, a buddy of mine from Scotland, Billy Lyer, or a buddy of the band actually, he is hooked up with a really great company in the States that does that for some bands. So I've been considering hitting up some of those just to be like, anyone want to print this? And like, we don't have to, I just don't want to ship stuff overseas. Just so.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah, nobody's having a good time with that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, hopefully it'll break loose soon. I'd like to catch you in Chicago. You guys ever play Kansas City?
I have not in a very long time. So I played Kansas City with an old indie rock band called Inspector Owl. I played bass in this band. They're kind of like dancey indie rock.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably like 20 years ago, maybe 15. I don't know. It's been a while. But since then, I haven't played in KC, but I know Corey with his old band, Arliss Nancy, I'm sure has. But yeah, like when we're like, hopefully for this fall, if this tour happens, we're going to want to do definitely Midwest, and probably I'd like to do a little bit more extensive Midwest than we originally had planned, which was Chicago to East Coast and down. So we're hoping, again, very cautiously optimistic, to start maybe in Colorado, because that's where Corey's from.
Oh, cool.
And then do some more Midwest states, Yeah, well, I mean, once travel restrictions open up, I think all of us are going to have a wild hair up our asses.
Yeah.
To get over there and to travel and to do as much as we can. So
right on.
Yeah, I would love to. And then also like in Chicago, like before we started rolling, I was talking about your Albini episode.
Uh-huh.
I recorded once at that studio at Electrical Audio. It wasn't with Albini, it was with Greg Norman, but that's one of my goals, is to have Little Teeth record, hopefully with Albini at Electrical, which we're going to have to start saving up for now. I mean, it's not moderately priced for what it is. It's definitely worth every penny. But for three dirtbags like us, we got to pinch some pennies.
Right.
So hopefully we'll be spending some more time in the Midwest soon, I think.
Legendary studio.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great, man.
You should listen to Rob's episode too. He was a protege, basically.
Oh.
Yeah, John was saying I need to check out that episode. And I heard Steve talk about him being basically like one of the nicest people on the face of the earth.
Yeah.
He's cool as hell. Yeah, Rob Botchnick.
And it's funny, like Albini was like, yeah, I'm sure most people's Steve Albini stories are kind of like, yeah, Steve Albini got a glass of water when I was playing and he walked out of the room. Like, that's basically my story. I was just recording there and he walked in and we ate lunch across the room with him and we're talking about Prince, basically. So
right.
Very innocuous story.
So he was right. Yeah. Everyone's Steve Albini's story is just like,
yep.
All right.
Well, I can tell you he's a self-described podcast whore. Just tell him you've got a podcast and invite him on.
I'll talk to you.
I will. I like that he was like, I listen to all these. So just so you know, I often don't know anything about anybody and I don't know anything about you guys. It's like, well, I wouldn't expect Steve Albini.
I mean, that's so true to like the character you know of him anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. And it's like, I wouldn't expect him to know anything about anything he doesn't care about. So like, be like, the fact that you're talking to me is great. That's all,
Yeah. All right. Yeah, well, we don't want to keep you on all night or anything. I still got to go get that vaccine too.
Yep.
Yeah. Congrats. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing you get that. Even though we're far away over here, like it's very encouraging to see so many folks we know getting that stitch. So
yeah, that's my opinion. Just the more people get it, just,
yeah,
it's coming. It's coming your way. Hopefully soon.
It's coming.
And everybody else gets it, protects you too.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Thanks, guys. I appreciate shooting the sheesh with me.
Yeah, man.
Man, it's a good time.
It's been good, and hopefully, next time I'm stateside, we can smash up a beer or something. I don't know.
Please, yeah.
We can smash up a glass of milk as long as we don't have to drive 40 minutes.
40 minutes ago,
Although I'm lactose intolerant, you don't want that. Trust me.
Yeah, well,
different kind of smash up.
It's a good way to end the podcast. Me talking about my lactose intolerance. And a good night.
The new single from Little Teeth.
All right, everybody. You've been listening to Lactose Intolerant Jason S. Thompson, Little Teeth. But yeah, man, thanks for coming on. Tell Kelly I said hey.
Will do.
She'll have to come on sometime. Tell us some roller derby stories.
For sure. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, everybody. You've been listening to Undetermined the Podcast. Special guest Jason S. Thompson of Little Teeth.
Yes.
Check out their shit on Bandcamp. Some great music, some great merch. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Bye-bye.
All right, thanks, Al.